All right, so we'll start the recording here. And today's topic is making a business plan. So whether you have a business plan or not, maybe you can tweak it. Maybe you've gotten off course a little bit. Maybe you've grown your business and you need to redo a business plan. This is a good training for us. A lot of us, as we approach the end of the year, especially once we get heavy into the holiday season, clients ease up a little bit. Unless you got first-time home buyers, they'll take you out shopping on Christmas Day. But otherwise, people are easing up. They want to spend the holidays with their family. They don't want the chaos of having people come through their homes. And so necessarily things will start to slow down towards November and December, just because if people have a choice, they're going to take a little bit of time with their family. If they don't, then like I said, I've showed homes day before Christmas, New Year's Day. You guys probably have too. It's the nature of the business. But what I would love to have happen is before that slowdown hits us, I would love us to push really hard. Typically, January and February are the slowest months in this business. And it's because we took November and December, not necessarily took it off, but we certainly eased up on that. So I would encourage you guys to make a big push now to work with people. Try to get the listing signed, and you can sign a listing and add an addendum to it saying we're not going to put it on the market until January 1st. But you can go meet with people now. You can make plans. Some of the best showings you can do if you're a listing agent happen over the holidays because they have their home decorated so nicely. So there are good things to do out there, and I would encourage you guys to make the most of this time that we have now. Now, as we get started today, let me introduce myself again for those of you that are a first timer with us. I'm Eric Lee. I'm the principal broker for Utah for Equity Real Estate. I opened the first physical location for the company a long time ago. I've been with the company now 21 years. I think it's 21 years next year. So it's been a fun road to be on, and watching the company grow and being a part of it with you guys. And I appreciate you guys taking times out of your busy schedules to join me. So we will be today talking about, like I mentioned earlier, business planning. And a lot of agents can benefit by treating this business more like a business and not so much a hobby. And business people tend to have pretty good discipline if they're successful. They tend to do a good job of not only planning things out, but tracking the results of their work that they've done, measuring those results so that they can then in turn evaluate how did our plan actually work, the stuff that we're investing money into, is it paying off? These are all the types of thought process that an actual business person has. And as realtors, sometimes it feels like we just got thrown in the deep end. I remember how my dad taught me to learn to swim. It was a lot like that John Wayne clip that some of you guys have seen. He got tired of me, I don't know, crying or something. So I remember clearly that it was at a hotel because it was a traumatic experience for me. And he just chucked me in the deep end and watched me flounder. And I thought for sure he's going to get me. I went under, no hands came and grabbed me. So I flapped my way to the top. And that's how, quite honestly, I see a lot of agents doing their business. Okay, they're floundering around, they're grabbing at anything that comes their way. Everybody that comes along with a new shiny object, a new way to buy leads, a new software program, we're grasping at straws. And that is not how business people do it. Business people do try new things. They're constantly educating themselves. They are constantly trying new things, but they're doing it in a reasoned approach. Okay, so if this is my goal and I've got a couple of different ways to get there, I've got things being presented to me, I want to try them long enough so that I can measure their success and see what's working, what isn't working, keep the things that are working and do more of that, get rid of the things that aren't working. But it's not just grabbing a whole bunch of things. In fact, one of the most successful things you can do, or one of the things you can do that will lead to your success the most, is learning to say no. Okay. Learning to say no to people asking you to do things, whether that's working for free, taking a listing for $1,000, whatever it is. Maybe it's saying no to some volunteer assignments, whatever it is. You can learn to say no when you've got structure. It's really hard to say no to the demands of other people when you don't have any structure yourself. If you're just like, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I don't know what I'm going to do today, I don't have anything scheduled, then somebody comes to you and says, hey, can you help me out? Then you end up running errands for everybody else. Okay. If you have structure to your day and people come to you and say, hey, can you help me with this? Then you can analyze this and say, either yes, I can, because either this person is really important to me or what they're working on is really important, or sorry, I can't do that because I have my day booked, my week booked. I could fit you in sometime next week. And quite often, if you're not the easy target, it gets resolved by next week and you don't have to do it. Okay. But the key comes from you being structured and organized yourself. So that's what I want to talk about today. And we do have some resources available for you. Let me take you first to Equity Real Estate. So you go to the Elevate website. And if you go to the marketing tab, okay, if you click on marketing, it will take you to the Equity Marketing Center. And you'll scroll down to one of the options because you've got everything in here, but one of them is a business plan and it's interactive. And I've built my own as part of my training program. I like most of the stuff that they have in here, but I've built my own because some of it I think is fluff. Some of it, I think there's some things missing from it. So what I'm going to share with you, I want to share with you guys how to get this. People that sign up for my training program, they get access to all the stuff that I've created, but you guys do have a really good program right here in the Equity Marketing Center. So I'm going to stop sharing this in order to share this one with you. All right. So this is our business plan. And basically what we're going to do is we are going to approach this like any business person would. Now, we've had trainers approach us as a company, and they've said, we've got this great big business plan where we measure strengths, weaknesses, threats, and opportunities. I don't know if you've seen that SWOT analysis. And yeah, they do call it SWOT, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats, even though you're thinking SWAT team is SWAT. This is SWOT. It is real. And they really get into the weeds. And quite frankly, I don't like that. Okay. I don't have the patience for that. Are there threats? Are there opportunities? Sure, there are. And you can spend a whole bunch of time getting into the weeds with that. But the bottom line is none of it matters because there are people out there right now doing a lot of business. And we can sit and say, we've got threats because there's high interest rates, or we've got this or that or the other, but there's people out there that are doing a lot of business and they're making this work for them. And so what we can do is we can study what is it that these people are doing. And rather than spending all our time analyzing threats and our weaknesses and things like that, let's just push that all aside and focus on doing the things that matter. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do here with the training today. One of the first things that we need to do is we need to establish, for a lot of people, you've done this already. It's part of your budgeting. You know where everything is. You've tracked your expenses. You've got revenue targets. You know this. But a lot of us, again, don't. This is, in being self-employed, there's nobody that sits down and says, this is how you run a business. So step one is defining our goal. Now, we've got a couple of things here. We're going to determine all of our monthly expenses. And again, this the spreadsheet that you have available from Equity, you guys, by the way, do see the screen where it says define your goal up at the top, right? Give me a thumbs up. McCall, no?
Yeah, it's there.
I can't find it. I'm so sorry.
Oh, so what do you see on your screen, McCall?
Well, I made it into the marketing center, so I clicked on.
Go back to the webinar.
Oh, okay.
Now, and you can follow me through. Okay. So the first thing here, by the way, I'm going to stop sharing really quick so that you guys can find that. I want to make sure you know where to get it in Elevate. Okay. So if I go to the Marketing Center, I'll go up to the very top and I'll scroll down and work through it here with you. So we come down here, we've got recruiting materials, postcards, brochures, presentations, planning. Okay. So click on planning. And then you've got your real estate business plan right here. Okay. And you can click on that and it's an interactive form for you. So that shows you how to get to a form similar to what I'm sharing with you. And again, I'm just sharing with you the one that I created for my training program. It does have a lot of similar ingredients, but I've condensed it, I've made it, and I've added a few things that one didn't have. So the first thing we want to do is we want to determine what are our monthly expenses, times that by 12. That gives us what we have to do just to survive. Okay. So the next thing that I've got in here, that's step 1 and 2. Figure out what we have to do to survive. And next, nobody wants to live survival mode only. We want to have a little bit extra. We don't want to be, one flat tire away from getting into credit card debt and going under. So, we want to be able to afford a vacation because Rome, right? I mean, you saw the pictures, you've got to go. Anyways, so what is your goal take home in? Let's say that I have to make $70,000 a year to survive, but I'd really like to make $100,000 a year. That gives me a little bit of a padding there, right? So I've got $100,000 a year, but a lot of us, again, because we're self-employed now, this is a new experience where nobody's taking taxes out for us. And so if let's say that we're at a tax bracket of 35% and our goal is $100,000 take-home income, then we divide that by 0.65. That gives us $153,000. So we need to actually be making or bringing in about $150,000 in commissions. Okay. And then, you guys can do that math yourself. So once we know how much we need to bring in, the next question is, and I've developed this training for, well, it's my training program. So I have people from other brokerages that buy it. With equity, the good news is we're not paying a 70% split. In fact, you would have to, if this is $153,000 at, with $600 a transaction, in order to hit this, you'd be $160,000. You'd add $6,000 more on is all because of our low fees. But if you were at a brokerage taking a 30% commission, then instead of 160, you need to be making actually 221,000. That's how much commission you're going to need to bring in. And of course, then usually the companies that have these 30% splits, they've got extra fees on top of it beyond there. So you might actually be a little bit higher than even 221. If you're with equity and your goal is to bring home 100,000, you're going to need about 160 as your actual take home. Okay. Now we want to decide how many transactions do we actually have to do in order to make this happen? Okay, so what is your average commission? Now, I've been seeing a downward trend in commissions. Instead of 3%, I'm seeing 2.5% come up very, very frequently. And so I put in 2.5% into this. So if this just tells you your volume, all right. And then from there, we can divide it by our average sales price. So let's say that I was, shooting for 221 of gross commission income. That's 8.8 million in volume divided by the average sales price. And the sales price is going to vary based on your market area as well. This is the average sales price for Utah. So that's about 16 transactions. So just over 1 a month. All right. So then you do the math on that yourself. And now that you know how many transactions that you need, now we need to start doing a little bit more math, because you don't close every client you sign on. So if I go out saying I need to sign on 16 clients because of this, I'm not going to hit my goal, because every client that I sign on does not yield a closing. There's buyers that will start the process and their parents will talk them out of it and move into your basement and save money for next year. I've had that happen. There's sellers whose plans changed. All sorts of things happen that can derail clients. So we need more clients. So what is our close rate? And this is something that you learn about yourself over time, but I think 80% is pretty good, maybe 75. So if I need to be closing 17 transactions and I'm only going to close 80% of it, then I need 22 clients, right? The next thing that we need to do is we need to determine how many presentations we have to do in order to get 22 clients. Now, if you're an experienced agent, you can probably go out on your listing or buyer presentations. With my buyer presentations, I'm signing on like 99% of the buyers that I meet with. When I do a listing presentation, I'll win maybe 75, 80% of those. Okay. I don't win every one that I go on. When I was new though, I planned on winning 1 out of 3. So I was putting in like 35% as my winning ratio. So this is something that you can determine over time. But for now, you could put in 80% if you're a brand new agent, maybe try 50%. Okay. And plan to not win every presentation that you go out on, because you're going to be a little, I didn't get my first presentation. It was even a neighbor and a friend, and they didn't hire me because I really blew it. I was inexperienced at it. So if I need 22 clients and I've got a success rate of 80% of, if I go out and meet with somebody, 80% of them actually sign on with me, then I'm going to need to do about 27 presentations in order for this to happen. So this is going to vary according to each one of you as you go through and do this work. So if I've got 27 transactions that I need to do, or excuse me, I've got 27 presentations that I need to do, that's going to give me 22 clients. 22 clients is going to give me 17 closings. That's going to hit my goal of 200-some thousand of gross commission income, which is going to give me an actual income after taxes of probably about close to 150. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to come down and say, what am I going to focus on? Or how am I going to focus on getting those leads? All right. I've got to do 27 presentations. And in fact, let's just say, well, we can say 27. I'll tell you my actual numbers of when I did this and built my business, because it was quite a bit more than that. What are we going to do that's going to get us there? All right. We can't do all of these things. Power Team is a different training that I do. Some of you guys have been around for that, where we're working with other industry related professionals. I think everybody should be doing that. You're going to be working with them anyways. It's just one small step beyond that to turn it into a system that generates business for you. Okay. The Smile and Dial campaigners, for those people that are basically you buy leads, or you've got an auto dialer or something like that. We've done for sell by owner trainings. You guys know what that is. Social media, some of you are fantastic at that, especially some of the younger generation. Us older folks are limping along trying to keep up with it. Open houses, some people are very good at generating business with open houses. Your sphere of influence, I think everybody should be doing sphere of influence, and everybody should be doing Power Team. And then pick one or two. We've talked about farming, and then you can buy leads, companies like Zillow, Realtor.com, whatever. Okay. So there's lots of different ways that real estate agents build their business. My top agents, without exception, it's from sphere of influence. Okay. I do have agents that are successful buying leads, but sphere of influence and managing the people that you know well is by far the most successful way to build your business. So identify, I think everybody should be doing Power Team, sphere of influence, and then identify 1 or 2 other things on here that you're going to really get good at. All right. And then when people come to you and they say, hey, we've got this great open house model, you're like, you know what, that isn't part of my plan. So I'm going to say no to that. because I'm focusing on sphere of influence, power team for sell by owners, and social media. All right. Or farming or whatever it is that you do. Okay. Or a company approaches you and says, hey, we're selling leads. You know, I get emails for this constantly. We're selling leads. And they say, hey, could you use some more business in your area? And I say, no, thanks. And like, what are you talking about? You can't use more business? And I'm like, that isn't my chosen method of getting business. I have plenty of business, but it isn't from this source. So no, thanks. And I say no to that. And I'm not constantly, the squirrel effect, right? Where every new flashy thing distracts me from my objective. Because if I'm doing that, I'm not going to get good at any of these. I need to get good. And my top agents are excellent at these things. They are so in tune with their sphere of influence. Okay. They know those people, the people consider them as friends. All right. So once we've got this work done, and I'll tell you my actual numbers. So I come down here and I wanted to make, when I started out in real estate, I wanted to make $100,000. Okay. And that wasn't before taxes and splits. I wanted to make, well, actually it was. So, because I was new and nobody taught me about taxes and splits and anything like that. So I wanted to make 100,000, which was a lot of money for my family. Nobody had ever earned that before. I needed to do 24 transactions a year with an average sales price of 150. Now, the good news is for you guys is that average sales price has tripled since I've been in this business. That is bad news if you don't own a home, because the average income of Americans has not tripled in the last 20 years, but home prices certainly have. So anyways, to do this, I'm going to close 24 transactions a year with an average of $150,000 sales price. In order to close 24 transactions a year, that's 2 a month, I'm going to need 4 clients a month, knowing that 50% of signed clients may not close. Okay, these were my actual numbers from when I built my business. All right, so I needed 4 clients per month. That's 1 a week. In order to get 1 new client a week or 4 clients a month, I would need to set 3 appointments. So I was planning on closing 1 out of 3 of my appointments, meaning when I say closing, meaning that I walked away with a signed exclusive buyer broker agreement or exclusive right to sell listing agreement. All right. And in order to set 3 appointments a week, I needed to contact 20 people each day to set those appointments. And there's my plan. Very simple 1-year business blueprint. And the thing that I like about this, and one of the reasons why I made my own versus the one that is provided for you on the equity one, is accountability is so important to this. So I want a very simple summary right here. I'm going to contact 20 people each day, trying to set up 3 appointments a week in order to land. For me, I wanted to land 4 clients a month, knowing that 50% may not close. Now the question is, now that I've got my plan, because if I do this, if I contact these 20 people, I need to be able to look back at the end of the month and say, okay, is this actually working? This is simply a plan, right? And you guys know what they say about plans with the military. They survive until first contact with the enemy, right? So I need to see if my plan is actually going to survive. Is it right? And so some of you might be adjusting some of these numbers. 20% of your clients aren't closing. Maybe it's 50% like it was for me when I started. So you'll need to adjust these things, but at least you're treating it now as a business person would. You're learning these things about yourself so that you can make adjustments along the way. I don't want you to be discouraged because you're not getting business. I want you to be committed to doing the right things to get business. And if you have the numbers, see, when I did mortgage lending prior to this, I knew that if I made 100 contacts a day, I would get at least 1 solid lead. And so that's what I did. I was just on the phone, 100 calls a day till I got my 1 solid lead. And sometimes I would be to the end, I'm like, call 80 and I'm like, I don't have anybody. I don't want anybody now. I'm just tired. I want to go home. I'm going to finish my 20 calls. And it's okay if I don't get anybody, because the next day in my first 5 calls, I get 2. But I knew that my averages were, if I did 100 calls, I'd get 1. You guys need to learn those averages for yourself. Once you have those things and you're making those contacts, then you can start to improve your business with all of the other skill sets that we've talked about. Okay, so we've talked about buyer presentations. So every buyer that I meet with, if I actually do a buyer presentation, my odds of having them sign a committed agreement to me, like I said, go up to about 99%. If I don't do a buyer presentation, I'm just driving people around in my car, hoping for them to make offers, my odds drop down to maybe 50%. So I learn how to improve the things that I'm doing over time. I learn when I'm making my contacts, like I might go out and, maybe it's knocking doors. Okay. Maybe, I go back up here, and farming was one of the things that I wanted to do. So I go around and I knock doors, and nobody's answering their door at the time of day that is convenient for me. And then I've got to learn from that, and learn from that quickly, right? I don't want to go out and knock doors and have nobody ever answer and just keep doing that. And then at the end say, well, Eric Lee is dumb because his training doesn't work. That isn't how this works. What you do is you analyze it at the end of a week and say, okay, I've knocked doors all week. Nobody's answering in this neighborhood. I'm spending a lot of time and not talking to anybody. So I need to make some changes. This does work for people. All of these things work for people. So what am I doing wrong? Now you could also try the experience if you're brand new, and you can say, you know what? I hate knocking doors. I'm going to take that off of my list of things to do. I can see where money can be made, but I hate it. I'm going to focus on this, or, for sell by owner, social media, whatever. Okay. But you learn as you track. Okay. If you're not tracking things, then you're not learning. So for example, let's say that I make 20 contacts a day. In fact, let me share with you a different screen. Okay. All right. So this is my daily planner. That last one is my big yearly planner. And then I've got a daily planner. And I just built this out, and I'll go over it in some detail, but let me show you how this works first. So let's say I need to make 20 contacts a day. All right. I can just check off my little boxes here. I made 20 contacts. How many appointments did I get? If I made 20 contacts and didn't set any appointments. Now remember, I'm making 20 contacts a day for 3 appointments a week. So 2 of those days of the week, I'm not going to get anything. But if I'm 3 days in making 20 contacts a day and I haven't set any appointments, then I need to take a hard look at what it is I'm doing. Okay. And this is where mentors come in. This is where, getting extra training can come in, making sure that you're attending these so that I can pass along some things to you. I have agents that will, buy the training program because there's way more content there than I can share in the 1 hour I have with you guys each week. But let's just analyze this. Making 20 contacts a day, not getting any appointments. My first question is, okay, tell me what you're saying with your contacts. Okay, you're talking to people and you're making small talk, or you're contacting the same 20 people every day because these are the people you're comfortable with. It's your mom every day. It's your best friend every day. Okay. And right there, very quickly, we can see, okay, these are some things that aren't working. We need to shift it up. And one of the first things that comes up with new agents is, I don't have anybody else to talk to. I've done this for a week and I'm literally talked to everybody I know, 100 people. Okay. Then we go back to our business plan and we say, okay, I've got sphere of influence. I've got 100 people in my sphere of influence. I'm out of work in a week. So power team, I can contact those people. Now maybe I do need to start calling for sell by owners. Maybe I do need to start knocking doors, but I need to be making 20 contacts a day. And it can't be the same people. I need to be talking to the same people, every 3 months, once a quarter, unless there's something special, maybe they are my best friend and I'm going to be talking to them every week. Okay. But right here, I notice that there's things that I can improve. All right. So I make those changes, and I make those changes by day 3. And so now I'm talking to different people. It is taking me out of my comfort zone because I have to grow. Because if I'm not growing, then I'm going to keep getting exactly what I'm getting. And that's not where I want to be. If I'm not closing a transaction, or my goal was 2 transactions a month, if I'm not closing 2 transactions a month, then I have to be outside of my comfort zone, just by definition. I have to do things that I'm not comfortable doing. And that's where the work part comes in. Okay, so I start shifting, and I start talking to people and expanding who I'm talking to. And then I can start looking at what it is that I'm saying. And as I talk with my agents in my office, I do a meeting before my meeting. So typically every Tuesday at 10 o'clock, I'll have an office meeting with training, CE classes, whatever. But at 9 o'clock, I've got a group of agents that will call in, and we'll set goals with each other. And these are things that always try to take us out of our comfort zone. And so we'll talk about, okay, we'll make a goal for contacting people, and I'll ask them, what is it that you're saying in these contacts? And they'll tell me they're having a good conversation. I said, okay, here was your opportunity right there to say, could I come and sit down with you and show you what I do? Right? Remember, the goal of the contact is to get the appointment. The goal of the contact is not to send hot sheets. The goal of the contact is not to put them on a drip campaign. Okay, we might be doing that because we can automate some of these contacts, but the goal of the contact is always to get the appointment, not to work for free, not to give them forms, not to, give them advice on how to do things when they're for sale by owner. The goal of the contact is to get the appointment where we can truly communicate our value. We are not communicating value putting people in cars and driving them around looking at homes. We're not communicating our value by sending over hot sheets endlessly. We're not communicating our value by doing social media posts. Okay, those are kind of top of mind awareness, but we really communicate our value when we can sit down with somebody and they have dedicated time and attention to us. The time and attention that social media gets, what did they say? 7 seconds, I think, is the attention span for people on social media. They watch something. If it's entertaining, great, they'll stay engaged. If not, they're swiping up, they're seeing the next thing. Okay, we cannot sign people on with 7 seconds of communication. We need to be truly 3 seconds. Goodness gracious. Okay, so we got 3 seconds to grab their attention. Guys, that's not communicating value. Okay, if you're engaging with people on social media, what that is a portal to contact them. Okay, 20 likes on your social media does not count as 20 contacts for that day. If people like it, then what you can do is you can call them or text them, some form of direct contact, or message them on Facebook or whatever messenger you use, right? We reach out to them and we say, hey, I saw you liked my post, and it could go any direction. Maybe this is an old college buddy. Hey, I saw that you liked my post, and dude, I saw your name pop up and I got all excited. I haven't talked to you forever. How the heck are you? That's my contact for that day. And we've got a whole training on working with your sphere of influence about rebuilding, reigniting relationships, right? My first contact with a high school buddy can't be, hey, who do you know that wants to buy or sell real estate? Right? Because we got to build the relationship first. But if it's one of my friends that likes it and I talk to him regularly, I say, hey, dude, I saw you like this post. Tell me what you liked about it. And he can say, well, I've been thinking, we've been thinking about buying a home, but we're waiting for interest rates. And so I kind of like the information that you gave. Oh, you're thinking about buying a home. Tell me what you're thinking. You know, is this for you, for your kids, investment property? And oh, now I got a kid going to school and I'm looking at the cost of housing up there. And I thought maybe we could look at getting a rental property for them instead. Okay. Now I can say, you know what, let me come over and sit down and chat with you. Remember, my goal with the contact is to get the appointment. And maybe that's why I had a 1 in 3 conversion ratio, because I really was pushing to get indoors. Now, when I'm at the appointment, my goal is how many clients am I going to get? My goal is to walk out with a signed agreement. All right. And again, all the trainings that I do and working with buyers and sellers help you do that. Walk out the door with a signed agreement, not getting into that interminable, that infinite loop of calling people back and wondering if they're serious or not. My goal is to walk out with a signed agreement. So I'm making contacts. I'm constantly improving my skills here in getting my contacts turned into appointments. As I work my appointments, I'm getting better at closing and having them sign on as clients. All of this is part of the growth process. Any agent that I do personal coaching with, I can sit down with them and I can take this one page right here and say, okay, we're going to track what you do for a week. And this would be our focus for 6 months. Are you doing your contacts? I've had agents I've worked with for a month, 4 weeks in a row. I meet with them every month or every week, 4 weeks in a row. They never got more than 5 contacts a week. And I said, I'm not charging you any money, but I'm not going to work with you anymore. You tell me that you're a full-time agent, you're making 5 contacts a week. That's not a job. It's not even a hobby at that point. Okay. I don't feel good charging you money, but I'm not going to work with you because I'm not going to waste my time. But if it's people that are out there sincerely making that effort, I've had people that have joined me. They have one in particular. She just wanted to reduce some of the pressure on her husband. Okay. He had a job that was kind of high pressure. They had a mountain of school debt because it was a health related field that he was in. And they had a mountain of school debt, and she wanted to help take some of that pressure off of them, and had 4 kids, I believe, four little kids. And so I started working with her, and things did not come easy for her. Her own mom hired a different agent. Okay. That happens to us, but we focused on these basics and said, okay, keep doing the things that are working. A few years ago, she came to me, and not only had she accomplished her goal of taking some of the pressure off of her husband, her income had surpassed his to the point that he was able to quit his job, which was super stressful for him. And he joined her in real estate. Okay. And she would come to me and she said, my goal is, initially her goal was to just make a few thousand to take some of the pressure off. And then after a year, it was, you know what, I think I can make 100,000 this year. And then one time she came up to me and she said, my goal is to make $100,000 a quarter, every quarter this year. Here's what I'm doing. And we just tracked it like that. Okay. So once you've got a client, then you've got closings. Now, when you're tracking these results and you've got this business plan. So with me, once I built the business plan, I would print out this last year and I would put it right next to my desk. For me, I'm a little bit old school. I've got a little binder that I like to kind of keep things organized. So I would put it in the front fold of that binder, and I'm going to track these things. So every day I'm tracking the results. Every week I do a review. How many contacts did I make? How many appointments were set? How many clients were signed? How many closings? Okay, we've got a little calendar template in here for planning our day out in advance. But basically, I take my week daily planners. So every day I print out a new planner, make my contacts. This helps me stay focused. At the end of the week, I summarize it here. At the end of the month, I've got 4 or 5 weeks that I then take and I carry over here to my annual plan. And in one place I can see, am I doing the work? I've made, 20 contacts a day. That should be 400 contacts a month. In January, how many appointments did I get? I should be getting 12, right? 3 a week. Of those, I should be getting 4 clients. Of those, I should have 2 closings, and I should be making, again, this is all based off of my numbers of what I did. This is exactly what I did to get started in the business, you guys. This is what helped me become successful. So at the end, with $150,000 average sales price, that was a $4,500 commission. I should be making about $9,000 a month. Okay. Now, in today's world, if I'm doing 2 transactions a month, I'm going to be making anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And so obviously, you know, times 12, I'm going to be making around $300,000 a year if I'm tracking this. Okay. And all along the way, I'm learning about myself. I need to do better with my contacts. I need to find a better time to do those contacts. Okay. And once I get good at that and setting appointments, then I can go through and say, I need to fine tune my presentation. I went out and I did that presentation. It felt clunky and awkward. It went too long. I'm going to fine tune that. Right. This is what, because we're treating it like a business, we're actually clarifying and identifying areas that we can improve on. This is like hard evidence, basically. Okay. So here's my challenge for you guys. Treat this like a business. We've got our hobbyists. We've got some people that just do this for a couple deals a year. I don't think anybody on here is in that group because you're taking time out of your busy lives to join me here. Now, I've had agents that have joined me and said, you know what, my goal isn't to close 2 transactions a month. I want to close maybe 6 a year, because with an extra, you know, $50,000, I'm not the primary wage earner, but an extra $50,000, it'll you know, pay for a great vacation. It you know, lets me get some nice gifts for the grandkids, and I'm free on, you know, evenings and weekends so that I can go to the grandkids' soccer games, right? So this is a very personal process for each of you. I'm not going to sit here and say everybody should do this all the time, because you don't all have the same goals, right? If your goal is 6 transactions a year, then write that down and build a plan for it, but still treat it like a business person. Okay. Still be doing the right things at the right time. John, my program is, if you just go to Elite Agent Training, just www.eliteagenttraining, then it's there. There's also a link to it on my YouTube channel. But basically, this is us acting like a business. And I interview new agents now, and new agents that are just getting into the business. They come in, and one of the questions I ask him is, I said, are you shocked they gave you a real estate license? In Utah, it's 120 hours of education. Are you shocked they gave you a real estate license? And they're like, what do you mean? And I said, didn't you wonder all along those 120 hours as they kept progressing? Like, I remember I'm getting to the end of the hours. I'm like, when are they going to teach me how to work with buyers and sellers? When does that day come in class? And it never did. On 120 hours later, for me, it was 90. They've changed it since, because I'm old. But 120 hours later, I'm sitting there with a license, and this deer in the headlights look like, holy crap. If somebody gave me a buyer right now, I wouldn't have the first clue what to do. If a seller dropped into my lap, I wouldn't know what to do to take care of them. And I ask new agents, I say, are you comfortable with this amount of knowledge that the state says is okay? Are you okay with that? Are you okay going out and making money with this level of knowledge? Because if you are, I don't want you in my office. I don't want people that are willing to take $15,000 to $30,000 of their friends or their family's hard-earned home equity and not provide any more value than what they gave you in those 120 hours. If you're comfortable with that, find somebody else. I want people that are going to provide phenomenal service. And so that's my challenge to you guys, is be that professional. Okay. And if that's investing in yourself, whether, you know, and again, for my brand new agents, I require them to sign up for that Elite Agent Training program. It's an investment. It's required. McCall, I didn't require it of you because your mother. Okay. Her mom is one of my, if not my top producer. So she's neck and neck with one of my agents down in Cedar City. And so McCall has great on the job training. But otherwise, brand new agents with me, without exception, they have to go through the training program. So you guys need to be doing that same commitment to yourself, right? I'm committed to investing in myself. I'm committed to being better. Here's my plan. I'm going to start here. I'm going to know how many contacts I need to make. And guys, I will tell you this plan works. It works every time. The question is, are your skills there? Where are your skills missing? And you'll find out if you're doing 20 contacts a day and you're not setting any appointments, there's a skill deficit there. Or it could be a simple thing as timing. You know, I'm making a lot of calls, I'm knocking a lot of doors, but I'm not talking to anybody. Shift your hours of when you're doing those things. Okay. But we treat this like a business now. And no longer are we sitting there floundering around in the deep end, wondering if we're going to drown. Now we're like, okay, here's my real hard numbers. Where can I improve? Right? And I haven't met anybody that has gone and said, I'm doing all of these things right. And they show me, they'll tell me their scripts and they show me their presentations, and it's not working for them. I haven't met anybody that does all those things right and it's not working for them. So the question is, are we doing all of those things? And the answer is, I don't know. Am I tracking it? And that's a very simple thing of each morning starting out, printing out my daily plan, actually taking time to make the plan, and then executing that plan. And as I execute the plan, I learn things about myself. There's a lot of new businesses that, in fact, some of you guys might know better than me. The last numbers that I saw was when you start a new business, you don't expect to be in the black for 3 to 5 years. Have you guys heard that before? You don't have to take 3 to 5 years in this business. In fact, most people wouldn't survive. But it may be 3 to 5 months as you do the right things and are focused on learning about yourself. You're not going to have instant success overnight. There's a lot of learning and growth that needs to take place. But you start that growth by treating it like a business, by acknowledging that you're new at this, that there's things that you can improve in, and you are being purposeful. You're acting with intent on identifying those areas. And you do that with consistency and tracking. Is that clear? Okay, so that would be my challenge to you guys, is go through that exercise, find out what you need to be doing, print out a 1-day plan that you can have right next to your computer that says, I need to make this many contacts a day. It's going to give me this many appointments. Those appointments are I'm going to walk away with this many clients signed, and those signed clients are going to give me this many closings. And then you track your results every single day. And after a month or two, you may have 0 success at all, but you will have learned a phenomenal amount about yourself and about your business practice. And you'll see the mountain of work beyond that 120 hours that the Division of Real Estate gave you. You'll see the mountain of work of learning and growth opportunities that are there for you. And to be quite honest, at that point, not only is it daunting, but it's a little bit exciting too, to realize, you know what, I actually know where I can improve. I actually see things that I can do. I know people I can talk to get better skills. And I get a chance, because I'm doing this on a consistent basis, I get a chance to practice the new skills every day on that way to improvement. So that's the goal, you guys. I appreciate you joining me today. Let's see if we can put some of these things into practice. And if we can, and again, we can push really hard over the next month before things really start to slow down for, Thanksgiving and Christmas and New Year's and stuff. Everybody comes back January raring to go. Okay. They're excited. They've got their new goals. I want you guys to have all the kinks worked out by then. We've got a couple of months to practice these things so that when January rolls around, you guys have a great feeling for what you're doing. And I will tell you this is what the holidays are good for. Not good, it's great. This is the best time of the year to get back in contact with your sphere of influence. to be better at talking to people. That's where it all starts. This is a personal business. Okay. This is the best time of year to reach out, to reignite those contacts, to reestablish relationships, to be the better friend that you probably wish you had been for the last 20 years. So I'm speaking for myself there. Anyways, hopefully this helps you guys. It gives you a good launch pad to move forward, and I appreciate you joining me today. Any questions that